Hi there, welcome to Economic Observations. My name is Chris and today is the 29th of October and thank you so much for watching. Where has Chris been? Well, we had a little storm come through Massachusetts on Tuesday. High winds and rain, and well, most of southeast Massachusetts lost their power and I was not immune. 60 hours with no power. Miss Prepared over here was totally not prepared at all. It was a horrible experience. I have 6 months worth of food downstairs and I couldn't cook any of it. No power, no stovetop, no cooker, no oven, no nothing. It's all electric. I have a gas fireplace and a gas dryer, that's natural gas, and I don't have a gas stove. Well, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and pick up a used one and hook it up and put it in my basement in case this ever happens again. It was also cold, only 50 degrees for a high in Massachusetts. I don't know if it was colder in the house or outside. We have lots of wood and a fireplace, and I piled the wood high and we had a roaring fire. But most of the heat in a fireplace goes up the chimney. It doesn't come in the house. That's the problem with fireplaces. I've been asking my husband to get a wood-burning stove for years now, and this might just solidify it. At least you can cook and put a frying pan or a kettle on top of a wood-burning stove, and you can cook too. We were hopeless. My husband was up in Maine on a job. It was just me and my son looking at each other trying to figure out what the heck to do. We used the barbecue outside, which is by propane, and we boiled water, and he even made a brick oven pizza on the barbecue. Burnt the hell out of the bottom, but it was edible. So the next day we wrapped up some potatoes in aluminum foil and threw them in the fireplace. Had baked potatoes. Couldn't eat the skins, they were blacker than black. It was a challenging time. It was cold, and the first 30 hours we lost cell service. We couldn't even send a text message or make a phone call. I would drive around dodging tree limbs and broken branches until my phone went ping, 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 and I got service. And I would pull over and I would spend an hour there. How to respond to emails, just basic emails, text messages, phone calls. Forget my laptop. On day 2, we got out the generator. It was buried deep in the garage, behind my daughter's snow tires and a whole bunch of other crap. This generator is huge. We got it out, we hooked it up, we put extension cords in through the windows, just to find out we had no gasoline. This is being prepared? I was so unprepared. It was horrible. I drove 12 miles to a gas station and waited in line and filled up my little gas jug. 2.5 gallons. Cost me $10 to fill up my gas can, and I came home and poured it in the generator, fired it up, and voila. We were able to charge some things, and I desperately wanted to hook up the modem. But when we hooked up the modem, we had an amber light. Then I had to search Verizon's website to find out why and how to fix the amber light. I did all their troubleshooting, and it was to no avail. I had no Wi-Fi. I chatted with a service rep who has this neat functionality where if you hold your phone to a certain picture, he can see it. It's like a virtual assistant. It was in my basement. There was another box that said Verizon. And he said, well, there's no power to that box. He says, can you hook up your generator to that box? But that box is all hardwired in. And my generator was just a big portable generator. Sure, it was 8,500 watts. It was a beast. But I couldn't hook up that box, so I still had no Wi-Fi. I still had no way to hook up my stove because I wasn't going to plug that in. But we plugged in the electric kettle, and we were able to have ramen noodles and some cups of tea. But I was so ill-prepared. Sure, I have 300 pounds of propane, but I can't move a 300 or a 100-pound tube of propane. nor can I find the wires to hook it up to anything. It was really spastic. I really hate to say I was not prepared. And should that be a blizzard with 2 feet of snow? My water lines would have froze. The house would have been freezing cold. Bad enough, yesterday, as I was trying to keep warm, I heard this big pop coming from my fireplace, and the heat of the fire shattered one of the glass doors. Shattered into thousands of pieces. I was so not prepared. So, lessons learned. I'm going to get one of those power banks, those big 1,500-watt solar paneled or electric panel, powered power banks, and have it fully charged in my house. So we can have some emergency things that we desperately needed. But the worst was not having cell service and not having Wi-Fi. Not having heat in my house. Luckily, we don't have a well, so we didn't need the pump. But there's a lot of people in southern Massachusetts that go on well water. And without a generator plumbed into their house, they couldn't access even running water. There is so much more to be prepared than having food. I learned a valuable lesson. And I'm going to go get that stove on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace secondhand and hook it up in my basement so I can boil a pot of water. Or I can cook some of the rice that's in my basement. Lesson learned. It was only 60 hours and I was like a fish out of water. So totally unprepared. And then my husband came home and he made it seem so easy. But the gasoline that I bought for the generator only lasted an hour and a half. I went out and spent another $10 filling up that tank. Put it in the generator last night, and again, an hour and a half. I enjoyed every 3 hours of having some sort of normalcy. But it was far from normal. When the lights came on this morning, I was like a new person. Relieved. Finally, I can shed some of the blankets that were wrapped around me. Anyway, a lot of lessons learned. I hope that you take stock in some of them, because just having food, some silver, or some cash around wouldn't solve all your problems when you lose power for a long period of time. Okay, story number 2. Remember 2 weeks ago I talked to you about the girl Melissa? Well, I ran into Melissa last Thursday. It was my last time in downtown Boston this season, right? It's getting too cold to sell artwork in Boston, in Massachusetts. So I ran into her and I said, hey, what are you doing on the streets? How did the shelters work out? I gave her a list of them. I told her to go to Rosie's place. She came running over to my car as I was leaving and said there were no rooms at the inn. She started to cry. She said, I miss my mother and I want to go home. She said she realized that her boyfriend was not good for her and he was all about him. And she realized that she needed to get off the streets of Boston because she couldn't take it anymore. I told her that I would get her to Reno, but it was late Thursday and there was nothing I can do. I said, your last hope is meet me on Sunday. I will be at an arts market on Newbury and Dartmouth Street. I will be there all day. You come there and I'll get you home to Reno. I didn't know how I was going to do this. All day long, I was waiting for Melissa to show up. I was even talking to some people that I met about Melissa, saying how she didn't show up. And at the very last minute, when I was packing everything up, at 6 o'clock at night, Melissa came running over to me and gave me the biggest hug and didn't want to let go. She helped me load up my car, and as I promised, I took her to South Station. I was going to take her to Logan Airport and buy her a plane ticket, but she didn't have any ID on her. So I took her to the bus station, we walked in together, and I bought her a one-way ticket to Reno. It would have been cheaper to fly her home, and it sure as hell would have been a lot quicker. The bus ticket told us that it was going to be 3 days and 8 hours for her to get to Reno. And it was Sunday night at 7:30, and the bus didn't leave until 8 o'clock in the morning. She had to sleep in the station and leave her boyfriend and her drug habit with no methadone or any kind of offsetting drug for the pain that she was going to endure. She got on that bus. She had my business card and she texted me, "I'm on the bus." She went from Boston to New York, had 2-hour wait in New York, and texted me from someone else's phone when she got on the bus from New York to Denver, Colorado. Luckily, she had this nice guy who was letting her use her phone and who actually bought her food the whole entire way from New York to Denver. At Denver, he left. She got on another bus from Denver to Salt Lake City. And from Salt Lake City, she went to Reno. She got into Reno last night. She was scared and happy to be home, but she didn't know how her family was going to accept her. She told me she would be in touch with me. I haven't heard from Melissa all day. I called some clinics for her, and I tried to get her set up, but she said she had one in store. I just texted with her brother, and he said she called when she got into town, but nobody has seen her since. I'm going to do some work and call some of those clinics to see if she checked herself in. But Melissa's back in Reno. She left her boyfriend. They're very grateful that I got her home. But one of the questions her brother said to me, "Oh no, what about her car?" Well, her car has 4 slashed tires and smashed windshields. The car was worthless. Leave the car, don't worry about the car. You can always get another car. It would cost more to repair that car and more to drive that car across country than it was worth. And Melissa didn't even have a driver's license anymore. Anyway, Melissa's in Reno. I was the mother that she needed at that time. I hope and pray she gets the help she needs. This young 29-year-old woman has showed me more strength and determination than anyone I met in a long time. For her to leave her boyfriend, fight the pain of withdrawals from heroin, which I have no idea, but I hear it's bad, and make it all the way home, I'm proud of her. Anyway, say a prayer for Melissa. All right, signing off for now. Call someone, tell them you love them. Be kind. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you, and have a great day.